Welcome, friends. We are your hosts, Sandy and Wade, baby best friends turned husband and wife and business partners.
This podcast is for the dreamers, the movers and shakers, and those who seek to attract their dream life.
Strap in. Getting magnetic in 3, 2, 1.
Like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
This moment in time, this is your time to rise.
Welcome back to the Getting Magnetic show with Sandy and Wade. This is your co-host, Wade Critides. Sandy, unfortunately, won't be with us today. She's a little down for the count. She got hit with some 24-hour bug last night. Didn't sleep great, sleeping it off right now, but I'm super excited to connect with Lindsay Davis today. She's the CEO of Spartan Invest. And this is the third part of our money series. You know, if you haven't listened yet, I would go back and listen to the first part, Building Your Financial SWAT Team with Greg O'Brien of GOCPA. Get your money right first. Second episode was with Barry Brooksby of Focus Wealth Group, how to start investing, how to create your own infinite bank concept. That was an incredible, those are both incredible episodes. So go back and listen to those. But especially last week sets us up for this week. And go to focuswealthgroup.com/gettingmagnetic to really understand the infinite banking concept, because that's going to enable you to build your own bank, to invest in real estate. But for today's episode, real estate investing is sexy, right? It's hot. Everyone wants to do it. There's HGTV shows about it. There's flipping. There's all these different types of real estate investing. So I think if you're anything like me, when you're starting out, it's like, okay, how do I get into real estate investing? It seems sophisticated. How do I know what to buy? What I've found is there's what we're going to talk through today, turnkey rental real estate investing. That's what Lindsay's company, Spartan Invest, does. And I think it is the best way to intro into real estate investing, because it's something where, you know, the turnkey company, the definition of turnkey, right, is it's ready to go. It's like investment in a box. They do a lot for you and you just step in as the owner. So I think it's the best way to get in. We're going to uncover what turnkey real estate investing is, why rental property investing is so valuable towards building, you know, financial freedom, towards building a future of financial abundance and wealth, and how to get started in it. So without further ado, let's get to the interview with Lindsay Davis. I'm going to read her quick bio. She is an exceptional individual. She serves as the Chief Executive Officer for Spartan Invest. That's a company that's been honored for 7 consecutive years since 2013 on the Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies in the country. How cool is that? We get to connect with the CEO of one of the fastest growing companies in the country. That's amazing. Under her leadership, the company achieved an overall Inc. 5000 rating in 2019 of 2,077. That's pretty cool. Top almost 2,000 in the country. The 3-year growth has been 194%, and revenue has reached over 24 million in the last year. What I love even more than that, she's a millennial entrepreneur. Within 8 years, she's played an integral role in creating 5 brands, 4 companies, generating, you know, that $24 million in revenue. She's doing big things in the world. We get to hang out with her today. Super excited. She manages the portfolio, which consists of over 800 rental properties. She coordinates, manages, directs the supply of network of over 200 vendors, over 15 million in property sales just a couple years ago. And as CEO of Spartan Invest, it's her passion to help others find their financial freedom using Spartan's full service turnkey process. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview. Super excited. Want to welcome Lindsay Davis, CEO of Spartan Invest, to the show. Lindsay, say hi to the Getting Magnetic listeners.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here and talk more about Spartan.
Yeah, we're excited. Lindsay and Spartan Invest are going to add a ton of value to you guys today. And before we get into, you know, real estate investing, what that looks like, how to do it, I want to know your story, Lindsay. We always love getting to know, you know, the people we interview, getting to know their story and how Spartan Invest came to be and your role in that.
So I actually started my career in the corporate world, and I started a management training program at Cintas Corporation. It's a great company, and that's where I actually met my business partner, Clayton Mobley. He also worked there, and so he started working with some investors out of Montgomery, purchasing some foreclosures. This was back in 2010, 2011. Purchasing some foreclosures, renovating them, fixing them up. So then he left and started our owner occupant flip company. And a few months later, I left, joined him, and the first 2 to 3 years, we were, purchasing the HGTV, Joanna Gaines, the
Yep.
flip this house. That's primarily what our focus was. And what we found is that at the very end of the year, when real estate was slowed down, it's not the market that it is right now, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But to get through the colder months where real estate was not going under contract, we were not having any kind of revenue, we purchased about 40 rental properties and started to manage them ourselves. And found that those properties were really seeing us through and providing enough stable cash flow to help us, continue to finance our flip business. So we're like, well, wait a minute, this is something. We can provide this to other people and not just focus on the owner occupants. So that's kind of how the Spartan Invest turnkey model was born. And so kind of to let everybody know what Spartan Invest is that we are a full service turnkey provider, and we operate in Central and North Alabama. And so we'll purchase, renovate, rent properties, and then sell them to investor clients all over the world. And then we have the property management company that manages them after the fact. So essentially we are a one-stop shop for, rental properties and property investments.
I love it. I love your story and hearing that, because I think oftentimes, and especially, my personal experience, but what I see in networking with entrepreneurs, you set off, you make a decision, you take the leap into entrepreneurship, and maybe not full, maybe you're still working, but you take the leap and you have this vision of where you're going to go, and you start in one thing. And while just taking the action and doing it, you realize, wait a second, maybe this isn't going to go exactly how I thought it was, but I see this need in the market now that I have identified because of the action I've been taking, and I'm going to pivot and go this way. So I love that you realize that. And then to really put it in crayon, because that's what I needed when I started. It was like, okay, real estate investing. Oh gosh, like how do you even start? You got to be pretty sophisticated, right? But then this turnkey model I thought was brilliant. Spartan Invest business model, I truly think is brilliant. I'm a student of business models. I love business models that can produce passive cash flow. So when my investment partners and I and Sandy, when we found Spartan Invest, we were like, hold on. Okay, they're based out of Alabama, super hot rental market, meaning you can purchase, houses down there for reasonable prices. It's access to anyone. You don't have to be a millionaire. And then all of a sudden you are renting it out. But this Spartan company, they're identifying a bunch of properties that have upside, that have value, that they go in and buy a big lot of them. Let's just use a round number, 100, and they'll fix them up. And they might buy them under 100 grand, and they might put, let's just say 20 grand into it and fix them all up into nice places that people want to live in and people want to rent out. They then manage all of those 100 and they sell most of them. You might keep some for your portfolio. But I looked at your business model, I'm like, these guys are good. I want to start working with them. And then the concept of turnkey, they make it easy. I think personally, turnkey is the best way to get into real estate investing, because most of us don't know where to start real estate investing. And with anything, you just got to do it. You got to do it over and over to really get used to it. You got to take action. But the turnkey model, Spartan holds your hand and walks you through the process. So you learn what it takes to invest in real estate. But they're like your advisor. They're there the whole step of the way. And then for us, honestly, we were like, hey, we're building businesses. We're working full time. And when I say us, myself and our business partners, but we don't want to be managing this. We don't want to even really hear about it a lot. We really just want to house someone, collect the rent, pay the mortgage, have the cash flow above. So the goal of any rental property should be typically you have your mortgage that you pay every month. The rent you receive is above that. So there's some cash flow, and that's what, Spartan provides. So then they provide the full service, they manage it, they take care of it, they collect the rent, it's such a great model, especially for the hands-off investor and especially for the beginner real estate investor. So thank you for kind of that overview.
Yeah.
I want to transition into, let's even backtrack, like macro. Why invest in real estate, and maybe why particularly rental real estate? You touched on that in your story, but what is the value there?
Well, honestly, I could spend probably about 4 or 5 hours talking about why real estate. Clearly it was an answer to an issue that we were having when we were struggling first starting out, and that it's passive income. And like you said, it's cash flow. And I don't know how many other investments out there can not guarantee, because there is still a level of risk. It's still an investment, but provide that very stable monthly cash flow. And we've set it up, like you said, we cater to investors that live in areas where, you've got your cost of living is so high that a real estate investment just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work. Whereas it does.
Southern California,
there it is.
It's not impossible, but it's pretty hard to find a cash flowing rental property out here.
Right. And we have investors that travel from Southern California just to make sure that they didn't buy a cardboard box because they can't believe they can buy an all brick house for $115,000. So, we definitely cater to the investors that live in those areas. And like you said, we handle everything to where our investors can just kind of sit back and collect the funds. So you've got that passive income for real estate just in general. And then you've got your principal reduction. So you are having someone else essentially pay off your asset. So that's number two. Then you've got appreciation. And whereas Alabama is not going to see near the amount of appreciation as Southern California or your New York or anything like that, we've averaged about 2.44% appreciation, over the last 5 years. Now, 19 to 2020 has been a crazy year where we saw about 9%, but you've got the appreciation. So your asset is constantly gaining value. And then you've got the tax incentives. You've got a 1031 exchange. The government incentivizes you to provide housing for families. They offer these incentives. So you've got 1031 exchanges, you've got the mortgage interest, you can write that off, that's a deduction. And then you've got the stability of rental properties. And we can talk about that in length as much as you want to,
right.
and the proof in our numbers just through COVID.
Yeah. And I want to expand on that. Thank you so much. That's so informative. And just put it into terms, how we look at it and how it's impacted our lives, meaning Sandy and Wade and our partners. You think about real estate and going back to, a lot of people think about HGTV, flipping houses. It's cool. It's sexy, but it's definitely work, and it's definitely hit or miss. And you're also working and trading time for money. Now you can multiply. It can be a very good multiplier. You can definitely hit on things. You can miss on things. And that's a practice, and it's a viable business model. Where I see the value in rental property investing is, I want to paint this vision. Okay, let's say I buy a place for $100,000, and I'm just going to use round numbers, and it rents for $1,000 a month. And my mortgage is let's say $500. And I'm not saying these are what it'll be, but I'm just using round numbers. There's $500 a month cash flow there. That's pretty cool per month. And guess what? The market tanks or the market goes up or down. There's more protection against the variable market, because I'm not worried about as much the value of the property, because I'm housing someone, I have someone in there renting. The rental market doesn't fluctuate like crazy. And like in 2008 or when the housing market crashes or something, it's a much more stable and steady cash flow and risk you're taking. But also think about this. Okay, well, what if I could get into 20? What if I had 20 places in Birmingham, Alabama, which is, predominantly the Alabama area is where Spartan Invest is. If I had 20 cash flowing $500 a month, that's $10,000 a month. And guess what? I'm not there fixing the toilets. Like, Spartan manages the property super well. They let us know if there's something that needs to be communicated. Hey, there's a fix here or there, but it's pretty hands off. That is financial freedom. When your expenses in your life, let's say $10,000 a month would cover your life expenses, boom, there it is. You're putting in very little hours, if any, into your 20 rental property portfolio there with a turnkey company like Spartan. So that is the long-term vision I saw and had. And so we're like, okay, let's start working towards 20 doors. Often in real estate investing, it's called doors. Let's start working towards 50 doors. You start thinking about that. Now, it's not overnight. Not everyone has the capital to invest in 20 properties, even though they're pretty inexpensive. Let's say anywhere from, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but 80 to 120 grand range. But I want to kind of go into there. Who can get into this? Like if someone's like, okay, I want to get into real estate investing. How do they do that? What does it look like? How much money do they need? What is the process that like you kind of go through with a new investor?
Well, kind of to back up just a little bit in that
Please.
if you are interested in real estate, because it doesn't come without its risks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, pitch the sales pitch and that it's all flowers and,
Right.
roses and everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
While we do take care of the emergency call, the 2 a.m. busted pipe situation, there are, risks with investing in real estate. So I think if you are interested in learning more about it, the biggest thing is to start asking your questions. Why? Why do you want to invest in real estate? Are you trying to plan for retirement? Are you trying to supplement your income or save for a college fund? What are your goals? And then, and how much risk are you comfortable with? Because that will really determine if it's a right fit. It's not a right fit for every investor. Mm-hmm. And that's just 100% honest. Like Wade, you're like me in my personal real estate portfolio, and that, hey, I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know about the leaky toilet or, that the tenant is 20 days late, hey, just handle it. But there are several investors that they want to know everything, all the details. So it's not necessarily for everybody. So just see how comfortable you are with the associated risk of real estate.
Thank you for ringing me in there. I'm painting big vision as if all flowers. Thank you for like coming. There's inherent risk with any investment.
I'm probably not the one that's supposed to be doing that. I just want to make sure I never want to set any investor up for for unrealistic expectations, because you're just going to get brought back down, and I don't want to do that to you. But and then you want to make sure where do you want to invest in? And don't necessarily say, okay, well, I can only invest in my local area. Look for other turnkey providers. Find out what markets you want to be in. And those markets need to be growing markets. They need to be, growing, emerging markets. They need to have a lower cost of living, and then look for low property taxes. Those are probably going to be the top 3 things that you need to look for when you're researching what market. And then the final step, if the turnkey provider is where you want to go, or even if you want to purchase through a real estate agent and have a property management company manage it after you've purchased it, the final step is finding out who you're going to partner with. And I can't stress this enough. Who are you going to trust with managing your portfolio? And who you're going to confide, like, hey, I'm going to let this company or this person decide what needs to be done to the property, who to place in my property, who are they going to take care of it? Are they going to, make sure that they check all the boxes, and yet from the application standpoint, doing the due diligence to place a highly qualified tenant. So I think that those 3 steps are really what you need to do when you're trying to make that decision, whether or not it's for you, and making sure that you have the right partner or team is crucial.
I love it. So to recap, understand your why. Why we do anything is of the utmost importance to really understand, okay, what we want, but then why we want it. And then, what are your goals? Like, what's your risk aversion? What's your risk appetite? And then do the due diligence. Like, who do you want to partner with? Where do you want to buy? What are, the property taxes, all sorts of different things. So thank you for giving that overview. Super important to understand that as well. Okay. I want to transition I think, and this was me, a lot of people, when they think about investing, they think about maybe a 401k with their company, the stock market. Real estate is obviously a different asset class. How do you compare, or how do you think about real estate versus stock market investments, and what do you choose to do?
Well, personally, I'm pretty heavy on the real estate, I'll be honest. But, it's just because I'm a very firm believer. And like kind of going back to what we were talking about as far as the why, that's my why, and the stability of it. So you've got the stock market, and it can change and be affected by so many variables. You've got political landscapes, tax revisions, any kind of regulations, just your basic economic cycles are going to affect the stock market. And so if you're comfortable with that kind of volatility, then, it might be a better option for you. Now, I prefer the real estate because it's as easy as everyone will always need a place to live, period. That is it. That's the end all, and that you will always have to have a place for families to live. And that's just never going to go away. So the security of that, and what we saw in, through COVID, it just reinforced that, even with an eviction moratorium, and where we were not allowed to evict anyone for non-payment, we were terrified that everyone was going like, okay, well, that's that. And we didn't see that. We ended 2020 with the majority of the year being a halt on evictions. We still ended the year at 1.7 eviction rate. And that was about, what I've got it written down, I think it was right at 72 properties that we evicted in 2020. And we ended the year at 5.2% AR collected. So what that tells us is that still the overwhelming majority of people are going to pay their rent. If you're one of the investors that owns one of those 72 properties that got evicted, yes, that stinks. And that's one of the risks that we were talking about. No risk or no investment is perfect, but just the stability of it. That's why I prefer, we also obviously invest some in the stock market.
To put in perspective, 72 properties out of how many? We just hit 1,300. So, but for majority of 2020, we have about 1,200 properties under management. Awesome. So 72 out of 1,200, right? That's a small number.
It's very small. I mean, when you are factoring that into your potential risk, I mean, you need to know that it is one. However, you're still going to, majority of the time, still going to get somebody in your property that's going to pay the rent. They're going to pay your property off, and you're going to see that cash flow.
I love that. Just the concept of owning an asset, owning a property, having someone else living there, you're housing them, but they're paying it off, and you're paying down the loan. And, over time in the history, real estate will appreciate it. It can go up and down, but over a course of time, it's going to appreciate. So you have this appreciating asset that someone else is paying off and living in. Like, it is just, I'm obsessed with that model. So I love that.
And you get the tax benefits as well.
Yeah.
There are so many wins with real estate.
My CPA, who I also invest with, he was like, okay, you don't want to pay a lot in taxes, start businesses, add value to the economy, and buy property. He's like, house people and employ people. If you do those things, like you said earlier, the government incentivizes you to do those things, and you actually end up paying very little taxes. So, a lot of times what you see, wealthy people know that. They own assets, they own real estate, they start businesses. And that was some advice when he flipped the tax code on its head for me and said, look at it as a list of incentives. I was just mind blown. I was like, okay, I know what I got to do now. All right, I want to transition. Spartan, you guys deal predominantly in Alabama, right? What markets do you guys work in?
Correct. So we are in, so I say Birmingham, but it's pretty broad. We do all of kind of Jefferson County, basically central Alabama. So we're in Birmingham, and then we go down to Tuscaloosa, where the University of Alabama is, and then we go all the way up to Huntsville in North Alabama. So, good portion of the state. We are actually venturing out of state this year with our next market. We're really, really excited about that. But for right now, we are just in Central and North Alabama.
And why is that? Why was that an attractive market to you guys?
Well,
or what makes it attractive?
Right. Yeah. Because we started here. So we didn't really seek out Birmingham, but man, what we saw and your property taxes, we are the second to lowest state in the country when it comes to property taxes. Even without your non-homestead exemptions, the class 3 property taxes are just very, very minimal. You've got a lower cost of living, which means the properties are they're a lot more affordable. Like you said, our average price point is anywhere from 80 to 100 and I'd say about 130 outside of our new construction homes, which are a little bit more. So you've got that. So if you're financing the property, you're only out of pocket 20%. So usually around $25,000. And, Birmingham has a lot of growth. There's been several large companies. Alabama positioned itself very well for foreign investment dollars. And we have become famous with recruiting car manufacturing companies. So we have a Mercedes plant that is right in between Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Thousands of jobs. And the way that we were able to attract them there is we essentially gave them the land and they don't pay taxes. But what they've done is able to bring other companies, other vendors, suppliers to the area and creating higher paid blue collar jobs. And we've also seen the same thing coming to Huntsville. We've got the Toyota Mazda dealership that's going to add about 4,000 jobs. We have Google, Facebook data centers going into Huntsville. We've got an Amazon fulfillment center that just opened in Bessemer, and it's been doing so well. They're actually going to expand it, Amazon and their growth. But they're coming to Alabama for the same reasons why real estate's attractive, is because the cost is low. And the amount of employees that they're able to have at decent wages, and it's not a very heavily regulated state as well. So there's a lot of incentives into coming into the South in Alabama, and there's a lot of really great food. So
I'm excited for Alabama for our properties, for the market. I'm also we bought sight unseen. I want to transition into that next, but. Meaning I have not seen these properties in person yet, but I think I got to get down to an Alabama game and try some food there. So it'll be a good excuse to head down that way. But I want to transition into that. So people might think, okay, who are your typical, clients, investors? Are they people in Birmingham, or do you have people across the country, across the world? How does that work?
Majority of our investors are not local. They're not local to Alabama. They are from Southern California, the New York area, and then all over. I mean, we have investors in 13 other countries. We're very, very widespread. And for those reasons that we were just discussing and what Alabama is able to provide, one thing that is pretty significant is that our average investor is not a millionaire. They are not extremely wealthy. We actually cater to those that are in the middle class, high-end middle class income that can have a little bit of discretionary funds to start investing in real estate. And what we find is that we have a lot of investors that will purchase one property. They'll take the cash flow from that one property, save it up, and then purchase the next property. And then you've got that, like you said, if you use those basic numbers, the $500 a month, you take that and put it away, then you're able to come to another down payment, or you can continue to pay down your principal with it and end up with, paid property. So our average investor really is, fairly average, I guess I would say, but no, they're not the extremely wealthy. And that's why we want to continue to provide this service to so many other people, because we've seen what 401ks and how they do not properly set you up for retirement as they once did, or you might be promised.
Oh my gosh, so much value add. Okay, let's say I'm listening let's say me, Wade, I'm listening to this and I'm like, I'm excited about this. I think rental, especially turnkey rental real estate, could be a really good fit for me. Where do I begin? How do I start thinking about that process? Like, let's walk through, buying a property, where I find that, and then through purchasing it and ultimately owning it and go forward. What does that look like working with Spartan?
So if you are interested in learning more, you can reach out to us, through the website. There's tons of content on there about the different areas, different markets, real estate in general, our property management company. But just reach out to us. So you'd start with a sales consultant, and they're really there to help guide you through the property picking process, I guess I should say. What we've done is we've created a Shopify account with all of our investment property descriptions. I know a lot of people call these like pro formas. We call them IPDs. We like to be different, I guess, but we call them investment property descriptions. And essentially what this is just the high level. Hey, this is the purchase price. This is the rent rate, the rent range. This is the projected insurance, taxes, beds, baths, the basic information that you need to evaluate a property to see if it's a good investment for you. So once you're with a sales consultant, they'll set you up. They'll answer any questions that you might have about any portion of the process, because, as we've discussed, we handle every single step. So once you've got your sales consultant and you're looking through our accounts, you essentially reserve it like you would purchase something on Amazon. So you kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to move forward with this particular property. You reserve it, give us the information like, hey, what kind of inspections do you want? Would you want a septic inspection? Which, yes, always get a septic inspection. Would you like a home inspection? Again, yes, always do that as well. Do you want a wood infestation report? Answer a few questions, and then we reserve the property for you, and we take it off of all of our sites, and it's yours for the time being. So then you go to the next part of the process in our closing coordinator space. Since the majority of our properties are reserved pretty quickly, and they're reserved not long after we have purchased them, we still have to go through our renovation process. So once you place that property under contract, you've got our closing coordinator as your point of contact. And what she does is that she'll let you know, hey, okay, so your property is getting ready to, you're getting ready to close. So, got your lender. Who's your lender? She'll work with your closing attorney, your appraiser, your lender, and you to make sure everybody stays on the same page. So you're not having to coordinate through 4 or 5 different inspections, appraisals.
And all those constituents, I want to pause there, like appraisers and inspectors and closing lawyers. Like, is that something that I, the investor, have to go find? Or do you guys provide people there? How does that work?
So we do provide our quote preferred, closing attorneys. Obviously, you are at will to, you pick whatever home inspector you would prefer. If you've got, if you just have a buddy in Alabama that runs a septic company and you would prefer to use him, that's perfectly fine. But like I said, majority of our investors are out of state and don't know really who to pick. So we have our closing attorneys, lenders that specialize in investment property financing, which they're a really better route to go outside of your Wells Fargo, because that's just not typically in their space. So we'll make all of those recommendations. Hey, here's some insurance providers that you can reach out to and get quotes and stuff. So we'll handle the communication with all of those parties and then help you pick those parties as well and get you all the way to the closing table. Now, before, like I said, we're still renovating the property. Prior to you closing, you'll receive what we call a scope of work. And what that is that it's professional. We have professional before and after photos taken of all of our properties. So you'll get to see in detail what the property looked like when we purchased it, what it looks like now post renovations, and then a list of everything that we completed to the property. So we genuinely try to be as transparent as possible when it comes to that, because so many of our investors like yourself are purchasing them sight unseen.
I love that, because what Lindsay just went through, they tee up all, the professionals that there needs to be, they give you the freedom. Hey, you can go find whoever you want. Here's our preferred list. If it's easier for you, here's who we'd recommend using. What we did personally is we said, yes, let's use your professionals or that you recommend. They are all great. They're very professional. And then Spartan is renovating the place amidst the closing process. So you're actually getting, this renovated place. And amidst the renovation, I'm sure we're going to get there, they're marketing it to rent it out. But it was like everything was being done. And like, you're not getting this old shabby place sight unseen. You're getting this new renovate. And they're also going to say, okay, here's the scope of work. Here's the final pictures. And then it's inspected and you make sure all the boxes are checked and everything's done. And it's just like this smooth professional process. And you realize you have this finished product at the end wrapped up in a nice box for you. I love that model.
Thank you. Yeah. And so once you've got all the information and all the inspections are completed, you're to the closing table on your property. And then we make the transition to Alabama rental property, where you are moved to one of our client service managers. And that particular person is going to be your point of contact, for the life of your investment. And what they're going to do, they're going to be responsible for paying you. So their job's pretty important. You're going to like them, and they're going to be responsible for communicating with you any kind of issues that come up with your property. If your tenant falls into eviction, or if there's a repair maintenance issue, or if there's an emergency, we've had where, unfortunately we're in Alabama, it's rural. We've had trees hit properties. It's been rare, but in the event of those, they also work with you, with your insurance company and help filing claims and really just kind of help you throughout the entire life of your investment with us. While I say it is a different company and we work as a different, LLC, we're all still in the same building. It is still one big company of Spartan. And I want to drive that home, because a lot of turnkey providers, if you are interviewing with other providers, just ask about the property management company. What we've seen is that they're like, oh, well, we partner with a property management company. I'm not saying that any other company would do this, but there is an underlying incentive to not potentially make the renovations as high end as possible, just because they're not responsible for them post sale. Whereas we're all the same company. So if we mess up on the renovation side, guess what? We're the same ones managing it. So we have to answer for those repairs after the fact.
I love it. It's been a great experience, working with you guys so far. And yeah, now, obviously we can't say what's typical, but for our experience, it's been just hands off, which is what we were looking for. We're investing our time in different priorities. And so knowing that we have this, growing rental property and growing investment portfolio with, professionals managing it and connecting with us when they need to, but very, very pretty hands off for us so far. It's been so great. Okay. I have a few last, we fire round, quick hitting questions for you off script, whether it's in real estate or business and what we've been talking about or outside of it. What's one book that comes to mind? Book recommendation.
Oh man. Okay. I've got to go with Simon Sinek's Infinite Game. I love Simon Sinek to begin with. I'm a pretty big dork of his, but I do love the Infinite Game and how he really advocates about companies structuring themselves for the long haul and more of that infinite mindset per se, and not necessarily the immediate gain. I love his book. But
I love that. I was going to ask the premise, but you connected there. Infinite Game. I'm going to have to pick that one up. I haven't read that one. I have read Leaders Eat Last, Start With Why. Yeah, he has some great ones. He's an exceptional author. Okay, let's go to, I love this dinner party question. What are you most excited for in life right now?
Oh my gosh. A vacation.
A vacation. Where to?
I want to go. So we were actually supposed to go on a Disney cruise 2 weeks ago. And of course it got canceled, which every vacation we had in 2020 got canceled. But we were supposed to go on a Disney cruise. I think it's just to Castaway Key and Nassau, I believe. But it was the Disney Marvel Avengers cruise.
Oh,
I was pretty excited about that. So that's where we're gonna go. I'm a big Marvel fan, so
that'll happen. As soon as the world opens, the travel bug must be just so high right now.
Yes, it's very, very high in our family for sure.
Awesome. All right, great. Well, thank you so much. You provide so much value today. Where can people connect with you or Spartan Invest?
You can connect with us through our website at spartaninvest.com. You can email us at info@spartaninvest, or you can give us a call at 205-202-4118. Wade, thank you so much. Thank you. We love working with you, and thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you back. Have an awesome rest of your day. Wow, what an episode, what an interview today. It's pretty amazing that we all get to rub elbows and hang out with and listen to CEOs of companies. Lindsay is the CEO of Spartan Invest, very impressive company, very impressive individual. And we just get to soak in some wisdom from her today, really understand what it takes to get into rental real estate investing, why that's so smart, how to utilize it, how to utilize that to build financial freedom in your life. And, really empowering all of us that, it's not so hard. It's not this crazy, sophisticated thing. It can be simple. It can be turnkey. And it's just finding the right partner for us in our life. Spartan has been that partner. It's been incredible. So definitely encourage anyone who's interested to connect with Spartan Invest through their website, through the contact info that Lindsay mentioned, and we'll drop in the show notes. Mention you heard on Getting Magnetic. They said, they'll definitely take care of you guys, but just super excited. And, I was connecting with actually Greg O'Brien, who we interviewed a few weeks back, Build Your Financial SWAT Team episode, on just how smart it is to own real estate, especially from a tax perspective. And he just, he's been able to work with us through our businesses, through investing in real estate on just tax efficiency and savings. It's been incredible. Definitely actually shout out to Greg O'Brien, CPA.com/gettingmagnetic. Connect with him, because that first step is getting your money right. Before you start investing, make sure you got your finances straight and you have a professional helping you there. But that's a wrap for the money series, 3-part money series. I hope you guys found value there. And let me pause. If this episode or any prior, I'm breaking the chain here. I know you guys are listening. I'm going to really throw a curveball in here. Let me pause. If it's added value to you, do you know you can add value back to us? We would appreciate nothing more than a rate on iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, a review, subscribe, share this on your social media platform, share it with a friend, share it with anyone. There's nothing we love more. This is a platform for us to, spread light, to spread positivity, to spread knowledge of these, incredible people in the world. And we just appreciate connecting with you guys. And we see all your tags, on social media and on different things. We encourage you to keep doing that, because we just love connecting with this community. And we're excited because we've just wrapped up the financial series, the money series, and we're going to pivot. I've really missed Sandy today. I'm sure you guys did too, but Sandy and I are excited. We have some amazing guests coming up. We're going to start to shift from the money, from the financials, into more spiritual side, into the more heartfelt side, the emotion side. So know that we're always going to come in, bring different topics, bring different value. Excited to connect with Aaron Alexander of Align Podcast next week, and just some amazing individuals moving forward. So we look forward to connecting then. Only those that can see the invisible can do the impossible.
So remember, you are magnetic.